Welcome back to another fine edition of Storytelling on the Plains, where we dive into the history of Western Nebraska. Do you ever notice that, I write out exact sentences of what I want to say, and then I never read it the way I wrote it?
That's good.
Yeah.
General narration.
Yeah, because half the time I look at it and I'm already scanning a couple sentences ahead and then just change things up. Sorry, folks, you just heard my cat throw up.
Sick kitty today on our channel.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay. Londo's a mostly good kitty. He's been running around all day, chasing the other kitties, and he was naughty earlier. Puck was curled up in a ball sleeping, and he just hopped up on the couch and right. And I'm like, what the heck, man? The cat's sleeping. He's not bothering you. So maybe he just, got a little too rambunctious and it caught up with him, and now he's thrown up. But nobody's thrown up on our episode about this gentleman who lived out here in the early 20th century. This is another episode, and I feel like the last 4 or 5 people we've done, I've had a hard time getting good information about them. I had coffee, tea, whatever you want to call it, with Jerry yesterday. And we were talking about Shumway's book. And Jerry knows quite a lot about Hiram Scott, and he has nothing good to say about Shumway, writing about Hiram Scott. And
Shumway sucks.
Yeah. And I go, yeah, I run into that he gets some dates wrong, he gets some names wrong. I give the guy a little bit of leeway. He was literally trying to get a short biography on every single person.
Yeah.
In the Panhandle. So I'll give him a break. For example, today we're going to talk about Willis V. Willie Jordan. And
Willis V. Willie Jordan.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great blues singer.
Oh, yeah.
Willis would be great.
Yeah. And he had him as Willis B. So I don't know if he just misheard the B, because if you say it quickly,
yeah.
And also the V and the B are next to each other on the keyboard, or back then on the typewriter as well.
Yeah, I get that mixed up all the time.
Yeah, and my fingers mix it up just because I don't move my finger over far enough to hit the right key. Most of the stuff that I find with Shumway isn't too bad, but it does cause some head scratching sometime. But today we're going to be talking about Willie Jordan, and he was born on April 26th, 1891, on his parents' homestead near Alliance, Nebraska. So if I ever get motivated, I will go find out about his parents, since his parents were homesteading out here. That'd be another story to tell. And I want to make a quick note that I am the one that changed it to V because I found all the information that leans to V, including headstones. So I think Shumway just made a minor mistake there, and we don't need to worry about that. Willie's parents were Jacob David Jordan and Florence Lavisa Snow Jordan. Okay. The cat is literally in the litter box doing her business, and then the other girl kitty is growling. Can you hear that?
Oh, I can.
Yeah.
I was laughing at Lavisa.
Lavisa, yeah. Lavisa Snow.
It's kind of pretty. I like Florence Lavisa Snow. It actually has a good ring to it.
Yeah. So, folks, we're just going to ignore the cat. So if they actually do start fighting, we're just going to pretend like it's not happening.
I'm not sure they'll be able to hear it because I can't hear it. I can't hear it over my voice.
Really?
I hear it outside of my speakers. But
okay.
I don't think it's picking up for the audience.
That's because we're in a high-quality soundproof room here. So Willie's dad originally hailed from Illinois, and his mom was from Iowa. They were married in Iowa when his father was 28 and his mother was 15. And we've been through this age difference thing. I'm not going to get upset like I normally get upset that Dad's more
It's
than...
gross.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, that was back in the 1890s.
But by the way, I heard that in the UK, the age of consent in a lot of places is 16.
Yes,
True?
yes.
So,
Yeah.
So it wasn't just back then. It's somewhat now.
Yeah, but the creepy thing to me is he was 28.
True.
That's
if the age of consent is 16.
Yeah.
It could be whatever age on the other end.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they had age of consent back then.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They did. I'm just saying now. It's come so far we have.
Yes. So according to A History of Western Nebraska and Its People, Willie's paternal grandparents were among the pioneers in Illinois, and his paternal grandfather was named as one of the honored members of the clergy of the Methodist Episcopal Church. And this is how he ended up in Iowa, and how his dad ended up in Iowa, and he was also a pioneer there in Iowa. So
everybody got that.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. Oh, and this is the cleaned up, non-confusing version.
We're not going to repeat ourselves.
No. The original version, I literally had to go back to like my 5th grade grammar classes and break the sentence down.
Old.
Well, because Shumway just kept using he, and he was talking about Willie's dad, and Willie's grandpa. And so I had to figure out which he was talking about in the sentence.
I hate that.
And that's one of the things you learn when you learn to write properly is if there's any assumption of confusion, put the people's names in there. Even if you write, Willie's granddad did this and Willie's dad did this, just put it the identifier so you know exactly who you're talking about. So I cleaned that up as much as I could. Willie's grandfather moved to Iowa when his father, Jacob, was 7 years old. So Willie's not born yet. His dad is only 7. And that's how they ended up in Iowa. I'm going to continue a little bit with Willie's dad, Jacob, so that we can understand how Willie ended up here in Nebraska, and we'll cover a little bit about his siblings as well. So Jacob's family were said to be cultured and refined, and this was the environment in which Jacob grew up. Today, cultured and refined is just hoity-toity words for rich.
Rich enough to go or get sent to school.
Yeah. His dad also went to public school, and given the times, it was probably a typical one-room schoolhouse, but that's purely conjecture on my part. My mind just kind of started wandering on that, and then I didn't wander too far because that's, unless you actually have family documentation on that kind of stuff, it's impossible to know. But just in general, late 1800s, there were still a lot of one-room schoolhouses. You might get lucky and have a two-room schoolhouse, but that's probably...
I came from a 4-room schoolhouse.
That's right.
We were pretty upscale with our 4 rooms.
Yeah, and now your school is closing.
Closing? No, it's closed.
Is it already? Did they move them all out?
My school was Lake Alice.
Oh, wait, you went to Lake Alice, not Lake Minnetonka. That's right.
Lake Alice closed when I was a kid, shortly after I graduated. I think after my youngest sister graduated. I think that was close to the last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's such a bummer.
Yeah. It wasn't the only one. All the rural schools now are gone.
Yeah.
The one you're talking about, Lake Minnetonka, yes, is closing this year.
Yep. In a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks, yep.
And
more rural schools / country schools left, at least in this county.
Yeah. When I moved here, the year before I moved here, they closed the Hague School.
Yeah, Hague was a good one.
And my first job was working at Cedar Canyon Elementary as a paraeducator.
See, we knew all of them because of the basketball and volleyball games. Mm-hmm. That's how we intercommuted through the country schools. We didn't ever face the middle school or any of the inner schools. We only did the other country schools. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of unique. So we had our own basketball program. We had our own volleyball. And I think we had our own track. I don't know if we intermixed with the middle school track or not.
Okay. Okay. And when I went to work at the paper, one of the first big stories I did was I spent a day at Chalk Butte School and wrote about what a two-room schoolhouse was like. And it was pretty cool. And the thing that the guy pointed out, this was late 2013, early 2014 when I did that story. It was one of the first stories I wrote, so it was probably still 2013. The teachers pointed out, they're like, do you see any electronics? And I'm like, no. Yeah, these kids don't do electronics.
Yeah, we didn't. We were, I thought we were pretty snazzy having the few amount of computers that we did have. And of course, when I was a kid, it's like Windows 95. Like,
yeah.
Pretty cool. But they had games on them that you could play that were the educational games.
Yeah.
That we all loved to play. And then it had stuff that we needed to learn, like typing. Typing had just become a big thing, actually. It was always a big thing for like a typewriting, but then when it got onto computer, everything changed. So you had to relearn how to type. Because I was still using, it wasn't a typewriter, it was a whatchamacallit. It didn't even have a real screen on it. It had a little brown, one of those gray screens with the dark letters, and you just type.
Oh.
But it was just a keyboard and you type instead of using an actual keyboard, and that's how you learned how to type.
Okay. I learned on a typewriter.
Yeah.
My senior year in high school, I graduated typing 40 words a minute, and I do about 130 now. But I only do 130 because I write every day.
And I heard Gehring, the old Gehring Middle School, still had typewriters. Because I'd see them through their windows, the old-fashioned typewriters. But we didn't have those.
Okay.
We were a little bit more fancy. See, all the money came from the farmers. And back when I was a kid, there was a lot of farmers with a lot of money, and I think it kept the school up.
Yeah,
So
and
we had good programs. We had somewhat up-to-date stuff. I don't think we were ever really in need. Because we didn't have a band. That was the one thing that we never had. So there was no like marching band or orchestra from 1st to 8th grade, which is right before you go to high school. You just did what's called music class.
Okay.
You'd have a musical and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you didn't have a band like the middle school here does.
Okay.
So.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
That's neat to learn. And
So yeah, country schools.
You probably had, other than the fact that you had electricity and typewriters and stuff, your education was probably somewhat similar to what Willie got.
Yeah.
You know?
The one thing that I have to say about country schools that Willie had that we didn't is they were much shorter in time, because the kids would have to get out early, probably shortly after lunch, so they could get back home and help with their
farm
duties.
Stuff. Yeah,
And there actually used to be stories by the older people of Lake Alice, because they had those rules back in the day when Lake Alice first started out. They would have the kids would be up till around like 1, 2 o'clock, and then they'd all go home and do farm work. And sometimes, like with the older students, they'd have to come back, because this went on. Back then, I think it went all the way on to high school.
Okay.
So it wasn't just from 1 to 8th, it was one all the way to senior year. So if you were a high schooler back then, you'd have to come back and do more of your work. But yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah,
the rural schools alone actually be interesting history to go through.
Yeah.
Because I don't know a lot of them.
And if I was going to do them, I don't know if I would want to do all of them, like the theaters. But I would. But what I would want to do is get a list of all of them out here. Because what is it? Is it the Pink School? That one might. I think that one is still open.
The Pink School is still open. Technically, it's not in our county, but yeah, it's still open.
Yeah, but it's in our. It's in the Panhandle.
It's in our Panhandle.
Yeah.
But the only rural schools that I ever dealt with was the schools of our local.
Yeah.
The only exception was Community Christian. They were technically inside the town. Mm-hmm. But we did verse them because no one else liked them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, when I mean, I get it that they're a Christian school, but the weird thing is, so I move here from someplace else, and not everybody here, but the folks that I worked with believed in God. went to church every Sunday. But man, they wouldn't even say community Christian school. They'd be like, community Christian. And I'm like, oh, okay, what did they do?
It has an interesting reputation. Some people liked it. A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I think it's really because of the money. It was one of those schools, unlike my school, you didn't have to put a lot of money in to go to my school. You just had to drive out there.
Yeah.
That was a big thing. Is you just had to drive, which is about 50 minutes outside of town, so that's a half an hour. So there and back. That was a big sacrifice on my parents, and they had to do it twice a day. So that's an hour of your day, technically.
Yeah.
If you think about it. But yeah. So other than that, community Christian costs money. It was inside the city, but they also went from kindergarten to 8th grade. I think that was the big difference.
Yeah.
All the schools around here, for those who don't know, go from elementary to, was it 5th grade?
K through 5, yeah, and then
grade,
middle
and then
school,
everybody
6,
gets
7, 8.
shuffled to the middle school.
Yeah.
You either go to Gary Middle School or Scottsbluff Middle School, and then you go to high school. Unless you're a part of the rural school system, which no longer now exists.
Yeah.
That was the only exception. And and now, because community Christian is still going, I guess they are the only exception now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the county, yeah.
If you want to go all the way through one school up until high school, which is a pretty cool thing, honestly. I'm not sad that I missed out on Scottsbluff Middle School.
Yeah.
I've been there as an adult. It is a dark and dreary building. And it was dark, and this is remodeled now, so it's even worse when I was younger. It's something right out of Matilda, especially the theater was something right out of Matilda.
Yeah.
It was this like horrible, like it was actually kind of pretty because it was old school drapery and stuff, but it's been so disrepaired and not taken care of. It was all draping and hanging off the walls. It was something Tim Burton would love.
Oh,
he would love to film with because of the darkness and the weird stuff on the walls.
I just didn't like going there as a reporter because I couldn't find my way around the building. And
Yeah.
I would get so far, and then I would forget the rest of the long list of directions to get back out of the building that I had to stop and ask someone else where the exit was.
Yeah, it's a labyrinth.
Yeah.
It is a labyrinth.
It's definitely that's the way Lincoln Elementary in Gearing was before they demolished it and built the new Lincoln Elementary. You look at it and it looks like your standard rectangle school building, but you got inside and what where am I going? Why is this stairwell here and it only goes like half a floor? Wait, what? It was bizarre.
Something only the children will understand.
Yeah. But back to Willie here and his dad. His dad, Jacob, was actively involved in agriculture as a youth and in his adult life. When he took a homestead claim in Box Butte County, Nebraska, which Alliance is a city within, it was written that he not only perfected his title to this land, but also to a tree claim, the property being situated 25 miles southeast of Alliance. I'm trying to guess, would that be like closer to Angora? No, you'd be past Angora, wouldn't you? If you're going 25 miles. And southeast, you're going into where there, I don't know where the road would be to get there. Yeah.
You asked me math questions.
Yeah. So we usually record it early in the morning, first thing.
Much more chipper.
It's the first thing we do. Connor's been at work for like 90 hours today.
90 hours.
So
Feels like.
So his brain's already shutting down and he's ready for bed. I don't blame you, dude. But hey, thank you for helping me move that couch because
Welcome.
that was a lot of work. And then when I was talking with you earlier, I'm like, I'm just going to, I didn't even give Connor a choice. I didn't say, hey, can you help me move this couch? I just took a picture and I'm like, dude, I need your help later. Like, he didn't have an option. He was helping me move it. And you moved it like a third of the distance in what, less than a minute? Mm-hmm. And I worked on all that stuff for 4 hours. So, I like people with muscles that can help me sometimes. And I was still going to try and do it. And then you started talking about, oh, be careful, you might throw your back out. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to wait till you get here.
No, I think my dad did that at least 5 times when I was a kid.
No.
It's not good. And most of it, like, fair enough, is lifting up patients. But yeah.
I'm surprised my mom never did that. She wasn't an EMT, but she took care of bedridden patients.
Yeah.
And she never threw her back out. I don't know how or why.
Probably because she lifted properly.
Okay.
I'm not giving my dad any quarter or anything.
Okay.
I was like, oh yeah, he did exactly everything right. I doubt it.
Okay.
He probably didn't lift right.
Plus, I would imagine with your dad, it was a situation where we need to move this person now. Whereas my mom, she could be like, "Hey, that dude's too heavy. Can you come help me?" And
it's really the ambulance problem. The old gurneys, how they worked was on the physics of a lever. So
yes,
you'd hook it on and use a lever system to adjust your weight, so you could get about a 50-50. But if you're still lifting someone who's 350 pounds, that's not a lot of lever weight. So if you're hoisting it every time, and do that so many times a year, and your back's gonna turn to shite.
Yeah. Okay. So
now they have hydraulics. Just so you know.
Yeah, they just push a button and
buttons
there you go. Yeah. Sometimes technology is awesome. Yeah. Anyway, so
we're really getting off topic.
I know. We might get.
We were talking about like a farm in the middle of Alliance, or
Yeah. So Willie's dad, Jacob, his homestead was in Alliance, and I thought it was interesting that not only did he have your regular homestead, but he had a tree claim as well. So he had 2 different claims out here. Jacob was successful at his trade. He was an agriculturalist, which is a farmer who is also concerned with the soil and the business in general. So if I don't know if you can separate the two today, but back then you could just be a farmer. You planted your crap, harvested it, good to go, I'm a farmer. But if you were specifically an agriculturalist, then you were interested in how the soil does this, that, and the other thing, and the business of the thing, and you were probably involved in, the shipping of your fertilizer and this, that, and the other thing. You were like, you just kind of took it to another level. And I think today you have to do that.
Well, there still are companies that specialize in dirt. I can't think of the name right off the top of my head, but there's a term for it of what they're called.
Yeah, but I did actually go look that up because I'm going, Shumway used that specifically, and so why is he specifically calling him that? And so I did have to go look it up, and it's just we interchange the words today because if you're a farmer, you are an agriculturalist as well today.
He liked to touch his dirt. He's a dirty guy.
I find most farmers today are like Jacob from 130 years ago. It's just they were probably a little more separated back then than they are today. So Jacob also raised cattle and devoted considerable attention to buying and shipping cattle. He did all of this in the Alliance area before moving to Scottsbluff County, where he owned a 1,200-acre ranch raising cattle and horses. So a lot of folks do cattle and horses. I know there's folks out here. I think it's over near Bridgeport or Baird. There's some folks that are renowned for the horses that they raise out here, and they're very wealthy because they're very good at doing that. And
terrible for the land, but
yeah.
But yeah, good for the horse.
Yeah.
Good for the cattle too.
So Jacob continued buying and selling stock, which was rather extensive for the time. He did this for 5 years before he sold everything and purchased a farm 1 mile north of Scottsbluff. I don't know where. I think about what's 1 mile north of the city proper now, and there's like a couple of streets of houses there. Yeah, so that might have been Jacob's land. I don't know. In this new place, Jacob settled mostly on the agricultural part of his enterprise, but he still kept some stock to raise. About 6 years later, Jacob visited California due to his failing health, and as we've seen in the story of Dr. Fix, and if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it because she was pretty cool. Folks tended to go from here to California when their health faltered, as it was generally believed the warm weather would help to ease whatever pains or ailments a person had.
Consumption.
Yeah.
That's the consumption. I got to go over to California.
Yeah. Jacob had hoped to recuperate there, but it was not to be, and he died in California in 1914. Same thing happened to Dr. Fix just earlier. You know, she went out there to recuperate, and she never came back. She died out there. And I remember, I don't remember the whole story, but FDR did the same thing, but if I remember correctly, he went to Georgia. He went to some hot springs, something or other, down in Georgia for the same thing, to ease his pains and stuff.
I know one of the biggest one was, it's across from Utah. Was it Glenwood?
Yeah.
I think it's Glenwood. And they have a big springs there, Glenwood Springs.
Yeah,
I think it's Glenwood.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But anyway, they used that during the war. They used that during Western times because it was used for medicine. Mm-hmm. I think they like drank it and everything was mineral water. Mm-hmm. So that was a huge place. It's where Doc Holliday died.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just across from the Rockies.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If you take the main highway.
Maybe when I retire.
Yeah.
And because there's still lots of places. Utah I haven't been to yet. I've been to 35 states, but I want to get to all of them before I die.
Oh, Utah's beautiful. Gotta go see Arches.
Yeah, that's on my list.
And Moab.
Yep, yeah.
No, pretty places, definitely. Even the Mormon places. I like Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City, to its credit, is like one of the most well laid out cities ever designed.
I've heard that.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to get lost in Salt Lake City because it's all on the grid. It's almost completely on a grid, so it's not that hard at all. Just stay one direction and you'll get to where you need to go.
Okay. So first, Willie is going to take over all of Jacob's stuff, but I want to briefly bring in and mention his siblings. Before we get to Willie and him taking over for everything. William's mom, Florence, moves to Hastings, Nebraska, which is in 2026 a roughly 5-hour car drive and 319 miles. So it was much further back in the early 1900s because cars didn't go as fast. And I don't know, they could have taken the train, but who knows? They still would have needed to get down to Sydney to take the train over. It's going to be a much longer journey. Hastings had public schools and a college, and Willie's mom wanted her kids to be educated. So Shumway described her in A History of Western Nebraska and Its People as a zealous member of the Methodist Episcopal Church, as was also her husband. In the ensuing 100 years, zealous has taken on a more negative definition, oftentimes relating it to extremist, but we can be assured that they were likely devout in their faith. So you go back far enough, and if you're zealous in your faith, it usually just means you're devout. It doesn't mean that you're like some crazy nut job. And today, if you call someone a zealot, you really mean they've taken their religion to the extreme, and you would call them some other names.
Yeah.
It's just the words evolved over 125 years. So I just wanted to make sure there that folks didn't think that his mom was some weirdo.
No, just someone who went to church a lot.
Yeah. And she probably, I would say my neighbor a few doors down, is zealous in her faith. She's Catholic, and she goes to church 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And you know, she's not out there with pamphlets and telling me I'm going to hell or anything like that. She's just very devout. And so take her back 125 years, you would call her a zealous member of her faith. So his siblings Clara D. and Oral D. were both born in Iowa. Willie was the first to be born in Nebraska. And Shumway gets Clara's middle initial wrong as well, writing B instead of D. And again, if you're telling somebody your middle name and you just say the middle initial, B, D, it's easy to get mixed up.
I'm really just sad for the poor kid named Oral.
Yeah, I'm so glad nobody goes by that name anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would not work in 2020.
No. When I was a little kid and I heard about Oral Roberts, I'm like, what? What? Is Oral his last name? No, that's his first name. What? Why? Yeah. It didn't go well in the 80s either.
I think the Bart Simpson with his jokes on the bartender kind of ruined that one.
Yeah. So again, I think this is just a mishearing of letters. This sort of thing still happens in journalism. I've seen it happen many, many times. I saw, and I didn't see it until after a story was printed one time, someone thought the person I was writing about, that their name was spelled differently, and they swapped letters like that, and I didn't see it till the paper the next day, and I was really angry because my name is on that story, and I didn't get it wrong. Somebody on the copy desk changed it. And then, and then I got to call the person and be like, dude, I'm sorry. I don't know how to spell your name.
It's a big deal around here, by the way. If you're going to spell someone's last name, get it right.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you get somebody's name wrong here. Whew. Well, even like if your name is Kaylee, you got to ask them because there's like 6 different ways to spell it.
I don't really care the way people spell my name. I spell it wrong half the time, and I don't care. It's whatever. It's just a name. It's just a name, guys.
Yeah, but still, I would want to get your name right because...
Well, half the time it's hey you.
Oh, well, that's nicer than some of the ones I get, which I'm not going to repeat right now.
Some of the nasty ones, too, but at the best of times, the most polite of times, it's hey you.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what country that's from.
I don't either. And now I got Pink Floyd running in my head. Thanks, Connor. So Willie's other sisters were Amber and Amy, which I thought was kind of cool because I thought Amber was a more recent name, but this is 125 years ago, so it was around then too. I guess I just hadn't come across it before. And Amber and Amy were born in Box Butte County, while Hazel was born in Alliance proper. So I didn't look at their birth dates, but when you go back and you look at people's birthplaces, a lot of times they were born in a county because there's not really a city there yet. There's just a smattering of people in this county, and there's not enough people yet to make a town. So in between the birth of 2 of his sisters and his other sister, Alliance became a town, and
Well, you know what Hastings is famous for, right? In Nebraska.
Kool-Aid.
No, they have but they also have the world's Nebraska, I should say. Its first brothel. Is in Hastings. It actually got turned into an art museum. So if you're ever in Hastings, you go. Or at least it was when I was young. And by young, I think I went to go see this in 2006. Because I was searching for colleges, and one of the colleges we went to was
Hastings College.
Was Hastings College. Awesome college. If anybody from Nebraska wants to go there, between the scholarships and the amazing college, I'd pick that one. Mm-hmm. And plus, they have an amazing art program. But that is. I went there for glass blowing and pottery as a part of my high school. We went there for a few days and just kind of did a workshop. And part of that workshop that night is we went to go into this brothel. Is Nebraska's first brothel, and it got reimagined by an artist. I can't, for the life of me, think of his name now. But it was very, very neat because there's a lot of interesting things there made out of like objects that you see all around that were like put together kind of junk-like style. There was like whole bathrooms reimagined with like bathtubs with pinup girls. And like fake bubbles and stuff. It was interesting.
Neat.
Yeah. So,
I had no idea.
Yeah. And whether that place is still open, because it has been very long. It's been a very long time now since I've been there. I hope it is. It has history, and I dare say it should be on the historic register if it's not. But yeah.
Neat. Wow. And I don't know when I'm going to get to Hastings, but I can guarantee you if I ever go there again, that'll be on my mind to have a look and see if it's still there.
Yeah.
Okay. So Hazel, curiously, was listed in A History of Western Nebraska and Its People as the youngest of the surviving children, yet I can't find a listing for her birth or death. So I'm running into that a lot lately, and I think it's just the randomness of the people that I picked. I just happened to pick ones. But we'll come back to that later, so keep that in mind. Amber attended college at Hastings for 3 years, and at the time of the publication of this book in 1921 was the wife of Albert Catron of Gearing, Scottsbluff County. Amy was graduated from Hastings High School and then took a 2-year course in domestic science at a college in that city and is now principal of a school at Eraser, Colorado. Hazel was graduated from the high school at Grand Junction, Colorado, and is a student in domestic science at college. So for folks who don't know, domestic science became known as home economics, and today it's referred to as family and consumer science.
Yeah.
So,
which is also busted up into different things.
Yeah.
Because like ProStart, which I took all the time, was technically home economics, but it wasn't sewing and it wasn't taking care of babies. Those were each different classes. If you wanted to sew, you had to take a different class. If you wanted to do the whole baby in a flour bag, you had to take a different class for that. So like home economics really got busted up over the years. So it's really not one thing anymore.
Yeah. And so it's just one of those ever-evolving things. What I found interesting about this was that Hazel graduated from high school in Grand Junction, Colorado, and which sister was it? Amy went to Eraser, Colorado to become the principal of a school. And so I'm just wondering if Hazel went there, they had, I don't know, maybe she hated, Hastings and was like, I'm going to go live with my sister, who knows?
Well, I don't know where's Eraser, Colorado?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Look it up?
I mean, if it's in the mountains, I wouldn't blame her. The one thing also that a lot of people don't know about Hastings, Nebraska, is it has... Before, at least, again, this is going way back when, before climate change was really getting well discovered, and that could have changed since then. But when I was younger, Hastings was always referred to as the Seattle of Nebraska, because it was almost always overcast. You almost never had a sunny day. And that was definitely true when I was there, because every day was overcast. And they said it's very common in that particular region. Okay. They're in like a microclimate.
Okay.
Where the clouds build up. So I could see it being very gloomy, a very gloomy place, if that's true. And
if it's close to Grand Junction, then, it could just be a case of she didn't want to stay in Hastings, didn't like it. I mean, it could be any number of things. My mom's best friend, her youngest daughter, who was a year younger than me, left New York and went to Colorado to live with her older sister because she the nicest thing I can say is she wasn't doing well in New York. And so her older sister offered to take her in Colorado, and she thrived in Colorado. So it could be something as simple as that. So I'm going to skip back to Willie. Are you still looking up? Yeah. While Connor's still looking that up, I'm going to skip back to Willie here real quick. Willie was also educated in public schools, and he was about 18 years old when his father died. And he was, if you remember, he was the oldest boy. Shumway mentions that he was the only son and was therefore the one expected to assume responsibility for his father's farm. But I think Shumway's leaving out some details here because he had a brother named Oral, and Oral was actually the eldest son. But when I did some looking at the time that their dad died, Oral was 31 and was already married. So I think when Shumway says he was that Willie was the only son, I think he probably meant Willie was the only son at home, not married.
I think. Did Shumway say it was erased for Colorado?
Yes.
Okay, I think he got that wrong.
He got that wrong?
I think it's Fraser, Colorado.
Ah, okay. Yep, that makes sense.
As an eraser, Colorado.
Okay.
But I think it's and Fraser, yes, is in the mountains. I've been to Fraser.
Okay.
It's very lovely.
Okay.
Sorry, not to interrupt.
No, that's fine. I wanted to know.
There's no such thing as eraser, Colorado. Even I was kind of weird. It's like, what? Never come by that. I thought I knew Colorado pretty well. I don't know an eraser, Colorado.
I put it in there wrong on purpose. No,
there you go.
No, Shumway did it wrong on purpose 125 years ago so that you could fix it today.
Well, you were talking about the V's and the B's, and
yeah, so
Shumway can't get it right either.
Yeah. So he got a lot of typos in this one. I did have a look to see if Oral lived in town when their father died, and he did. He had a child born in Blair, Nebraska, which is greater Omaha. Blair might as well be part of Omaha, in 1912. But his next 3 kids were all born in Scottsbluff. So I'm guessing everything fell to Willie because he was the only other son, and he wasn't married at the time of his father's death. That's my best guess, is Oral's already married, got kids, so Connor's not going to never
I'm sorry, I
laugh
can't.
at
That name is just awful.
Oh, gosh. So Willie took over his
Especially when talking about Willie and Oral in the same sentence.
I know. As soon as I said the name, I'm like, oh my God,
Why?
Connor's done.
I'm sorry, folks. I do have a child's mind.
Yeah. You know what?
So juvenile. What are you gonna do?
You know, when I used to work down in Gearing, and the kids one day were talking about the previous night's episode of South Park, and they were quoting the episode, and me forgetting that I'm supposed to be the adult in the room just said the next line.
The next line's like, oh shit.
And they were like, oh my God, Mrs. North likes South Park. And then suddenly I was the coolest adult in the building.
You gotta be careful with that one.
And South Park a lot of times is toilet humor. I mean, it's 12-year-old boy humor, but it's funny sometimes. More than sometimes. And even like the other day I went to the store. I haven't eaten Nilla wafers in probably 20 years. Yeah, they dyed the little mini ones blue, and they put Grogu on it. And guess who bought a box of Nilla wafers? So yeah, 5-year-old me went shopping the other day. It happens. Same with people's names. It happens. It's really hard. It's really hard to let those things go sometimes. I think I'm done talking about his brother though, so we should be fine. We'll see. So Willie took over his father's affairs at age 18 and worked the farm until he was 22. He also had a job at the sugar beet factory in Scottsbluff during the winter seasons. And so before I go farther here, for those of you who don't know, the sugar factory is in full swing, September to February? They start harvesting in late September, October?
Yeah, about.
And so they will hire a ton of people that just work the sugar beet season. There are people that work in the factory year round, but they need a lot of people. And even today, the sugar beets get harvested and then they're staged in different places in the panhandle. Mm-hmm. And then when the piles get down here on the property in Scottsbluff, then they'll truck them in. I mean, it's a 24/7 operation for those months. So I'm assuming that's exactly what he was doing too.
Oh yeah, because you're racing against time.
Yeah.
Because once the ground freezes, you're done.
Yep.
So you want to make the maximum growth, but still give you enough time to harvest it before the ground freezes.
Yeah. So the farm was rented out the following year in order that the younger children might obtain better educational advantages. Shumway was not very clear here, and I had to make some assumptions. So to the best of my searches, I think this was the way of writing, that he might have paid for his siblings to go to college. Mom had already moved everybody to Hastings for better schooling at the time, and his younger siblings all went to college. I did find that, I don't know, did he have kids? Did he have his own family? It wasn't clearly written by Shumway, but basically Willie was taking on extra work to take care of his family. And whether that was his own kids or his siblings, I don't think it matters. He just took on extra work to help out. And, his father's dead, so his mom's probably limited in what she can earn as well. So I guess he made enough money in that 1 year, because then he took the charge of the farm again the year after. And Shumway wrote that Willie maintained a bachelor's hall at the farm and was also associated with the Sioux County cattle industry. So I'm going to let y'all think whatever you want to think about. His house is a bachelor's hall. We know what we're all thinking, and I guess that's Shumway's polite way of talking about it. I want to interject here a little bit too, because some of the dates don't line up for me. And Shumway said Willie took over when his father died, which was 1914, and that Willie was 18. This doesn't make sense because Willie was 23 in 1914. My only guess is that maybe he took over the farm when he was 18 because his dad couldn't run it anymore. And then his dad died a few years later. It's a small quibble, but the dates don't quite line up, and Shumway isn't very clear in his writing. And it makes figuring out the date of Willie's marriage a little more confusing, too. I think I just happened to pick like 4 people in a row that have confusing dates and names and things not matching up and making me bang my head against a wall. Things were going well for Willie, but in 1917 he sold his cattle and enlisted as a volunteer in World War I. He was assigned to the Medical Department, 1st Division, 1st Army Corps. So he arrived with his 2nd Command in France in December 1917, and thereafter was with his division in the front lines during the progress of 3 heavy battles. He continued at the front, loyal and valorous, until the signing of the historic armistice brought the great conflict to a close. He then returned to America, and he received his dishonorable discharge on May 5th, 1918. So the anniversary of that was just a week ago, at least for you and me. That says a lot, that he did, and I don't know. It seems to still run today. Today the military is very much a way for poor people to get out of poverty, and we have a lot of that happening in the military. But you also have people like this, that a war happens and they're like, all right, I'm going to go sign up and I'm going to go. And World War I in particular, that happened a lot. Like everybody wanted to go because they felt it was a righteous and justified war. So anyway, Willie returned to farming in Scottsbluff County, particularly in the Lake Alice and Lake Minnetonka communities, on a much improved farm 11 miles northeast of the city. So if you look on a map where Lake Alice and Lake Minnetonka is, it's in that general vicinity where he had his farm. While we don't have the exact dates here, I want to talk about his marriage at this point to Lottie Frances Story. I couldn't find the date that they actually married, but I wanted to include her because it's important. Her obituary stated she was born on June 23rd, 1885 at Tecumseh, Nebraska, where she graduated high school and worked in the post office as deputy postmistress. And we come across this often. A lot of people think that women never worked outside of the home until, women's lib. But women have always worked outside of the home, and they held important positions. If you're the deputy postmistress at the post office, you're essentially the second in command at the post office, and that's a lot of responsibility. And it was just, I don't want to say it was just a job, but it's a job to do, and women are just as qualified as men to do it, and that's what she did. And then she eventually went on to work in the millinery business, so she worked at mills. And to me, that says she was probably stronger than me and probably could have moved that couch today in my room without any help. Shortly after that, she was appointed Deputy County Clerk of Burke County, and she held that position until she and her husband moved to Scottsbluff County, where they farmed.
And for those who don't know, that's clear across the state, because Tecuma is on the east side, the far east side, right before you get to the border.
So I'm not quite sure how her and Willie met, but they met somehow. Given that his brother was in Omaha, at least for the birth of one of his children, and then moved back to Scottsbluff County, I'm guessing maybe Willie went out there for a little bit, maybe at the very least for a visit, and then met her, got married, came back here. She was active in women's clubs and extension work, as well as being the member of the Rebecca Lodge 339 of Minnetonka. I don't know how to describe the Rebecca Lodge. Have you ever heard of them?
Is this like the religious Rebecca?
I think they're like part of like that whole Job's daughter contingent, but I'm not totally sure.
I don't know. I don't want to say something that might not be true.
Yeah.
I know from when I was in church, there was something called the Rebecca, like the Daughters of Rebecca.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. So it's at the very least, it's some other kind of social club that she was active in. And she was also the leader of one of the first 4-H clubs for girls in Scottsbluff County. So I wanted to mention that because I don't have a lot of info about her, but she did a lot of stuff, and that's a pioneering thing to be the leader of one of the first 4-H clubs in the county.
I love 4-H. 4-H was always awesome. Always support 4-H.
And see, 4-H is awesome. I didn't have that experience because when I was a kid, if you were in 4-H, you were a farmer. And we weren't farmers. We were city folks.
We weren't farmers either. We did 4-H. We did the dogs.
Okay.
Dog training, because they had dog stuff that they did. That was part of 4-H. But I also knew a lot of farm kids because I went to
you went to Lake Alice.
And plenty of my friends from country school, they'd put in a pig or a goat or a sheep or a cow. They put something up for 4-H for the fair and make some money off of it. But they do all the work.
Yeah.
It is a lot of farming, but it's not just farming. They teach you all sorts of interesting things at 4-H.
Yeah, there's all kinds of
science. They teach you all sorts of good
stuff.
I
wish I had known that there were things like photography club in 4-H when I was little.
Photography club. That's the other thing. Like 4-H really is basically what everyone pitched about Boy Scouts now becoming was Boy Scouts for everybody.
Yeah,
it's kind of what 4-H was, but it was more geared towards farm kids, not rangers going to the military. It was just a way for farm kids to, like, if you want to continue farming, agriculture, but photography. If you want to basically help the community, because it branched into some cooking, I believe.
They have a lot of different clubs.
All sorts of stuff for 4-H. So check out your local 4-H. Definitely check out ours if you're a local here.
Yeah,
they're awesome. Support our kids at the county fairs when they do 4-H because they're awesome.
Yep.
So,
100% agree. So when Willie was said to be renting his farm out and taking care of the family's education, this is where I'm not sure if he's talking about his siblings or his children. And Shumway wasn't clear either way. I don't know, maybe Shumway was drunk when he wrote this one, because there was a lot of stuff that I literally would go back and I would cut and paste a single sentence out. and try and parse it. What are you trying to say here, dude? I don't know what was going on. He was said to be earnest in his political allegiance, which to me means he probably was a level-headed guy and didn't really bring it up much, nor was he much involved in being out there. That's to me, if you're earnest in your political allegiance, you probably have your ideas, but you don't go out ranting and raving about them. You just kind of keep to yourself about it.
Boy, those are the days.
Yeah. Oh, God, I miss those days.
It's polite not to talk about politics in general public.
Yep. And, the one time I thought I would get my grandma was the primaries when Obama and Clinton were running for president to be the nomination on the Democratic ticket. My grandma had always told me that she always voted for the best man for the job, so I thought I could get her. I voted for the best person for the job. And I'm like, so you voted for Hillary? She goes, I voted for the best person for the job. So was it Obama? She just, to this day, I have no idea who she voted for, how she voted.
Independent.
Yeah.
She voted independent.
Yeah. Ralph Nader.
She was a Nader. She nadered it. She nadered her way out of that situation.
And I knew she said that on purpose because she had one of those ear-to-ear grins. So she knew what she was doing. But my grandma did not talk politics. My grandma did not talk religion because that was not something...
It's really not something that my parents did either. Or my grandparents. We never talked about it. And we still, for the most part, don't. Every now and then, when we start, it only ends badly, at least for me and my family, because I'm very, very opposite
same.
of their views. So that it doesn't really go. But for the most part, we just never... Even amongst my grandparents, on both sides of my family, we understood what they were and just didn't talk about it.
Yeah, it was just something nobody really...
I knew my grandpa on my dad's side was in love with Bush. He had all these pictures of Bush and just loved the guy. And of course, I was a little young to really understand to hate him. Granted, because I was a kid during the Bush years, but later on in life, it's kind of cringy.
Yeah, and I have a little oval sticker of Obama Biden, just because to me it was historical. This was the first black president we had, and so I wanted to keep that little sticker, and I didn't use it. I could still stick it on something if I wanted to today, and it's probably not worth anything because they printed up millions, but who knows? For me, it was a personal thing. Hey, we have a black president. This is pretty cool. So that's why I kept it. But other than that, I don't really have political stuff. Anything.
Oh, I don't.
It just,
I don't even I don't allow people to put up stuff in my yard.
Yeah.
I like my grass and I like my flowers. I think they're prettier.
You don't want people coming and kicking your plants?
Make a political sign that's more prettier, plants. Make it out of plants. There you go.
There you go.
Make political signs out of plants.
There
and
you
then
go.
maybe, it still depends on who you are, but maybe I'll let you go into my yard, put up your sign.
So Willie was also a member of the Methodist Episcopal Church, and I think it's just Methodist. I think Methodist and Episcopal split at some point in time because I'm not 100% up on my church history. So Willie died on June 16th, 1978, age 87, in the Fort Meade Veterans Hospital in Sturgis, South Dakota. June 16th is my aunt's birthday, so she was 14 when he died. His obituary mentions a memorial to the Arthritis Foundation, so one can make assumptions about his death, but we really don't know. The Minutair Oddfellow Lodge conducted the graveside service, and Willie was a member of the Oddfellow Lodge and the American Legion, and he is buried in the Fairview Cemetery. This just kind of made me think of when my Uncle Dave passed away. My Uncle Dave was a Vietnam veteran, and he was a member of the volunteer fire department called the Dykemen, and they just went up to the family and were like, we'll take care of the pallbearers, we'll arrange for 21 gun salute. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
They got in contact with the military and made sure all that stuff was done. And it really helped my cousin Jake, when my Uncle Dave passed away. And it just seems like the military Oddfellow Lodge was kind of like that as well. That they just stepped up and helped out, we'll help with the service. And the fact that they conducted the graveside service leads me to believe that maybe that little lodge was just as important to Willie as church was.
Yeah.
Because normally if the minister does the church service, they do the graveside service as well. But again, it's all speculation. So Willie's obituary lists survivors as his son Dallas of Phoenix, daughter Pauline Schumann of Minnetonka, and sisters Amber and Hazel, who both resided in Denver. So I'm just thinking Amber and Hazel just got along really, really well, and they just said, hey, we're going to live together, and they just continued to do that, at least in the same town. So that solved a mystery of Hazel and children, as the Find a Grave website doesn't list anything at all. So according to Find a Grave, Willie didn't have any kids, but his obituary literally lists his kids and where they live. But that's the whole thing. The Find a Grave website is mostly a volunteer project. And so if you know of someone, let's say, that's buried here in the Fairview Cemetery, and their obit is on Find a Grave website, and there's no picture, you can always go out and take a picture and send it to them, and then they'll upload it.
Yeah, but you also have to assume that they're buried. I have now several relatives in my basement that are not buried.
Yeah. And same, my mom was cremated. We did get a headstone marker. I think I told you.
Did you?
Yeah, we got that sorted. We paid for it a couple of weeks ago, and they said it can take up to 10 weeks to engrave it, and then they'll place it in the cemetery. So her ashes, most of her ashes are in the cemetery. My nephew wanted to keep some of the ashes, so he has a jar. I don't know what he's going to do with it because it's weird to me. And then when we went to the funeral, he shows me this necklace, and it's in a heart shape. Now you're looking at me, Irene. Necklace? No.
I see people that do it.
But he got.
It is what it is.
Yeah, he got one that says grandma and one that says mom, and then he put some ashes in the heart, and it's got a little screw on top. Yeah. And so my mom sits on my desk, my computer desk.
Yeah. No, I don't judge. I always think of I don't know what it is. It's Zach Galifianakis. Do you know who he is? Mm-mm. He's kind of a bigger guy, bigger comedian with a beard.
Oh,
He does it between two friends.
Yeah.
And he did one where I think he was with, Robert Downey Jr. I think was it. I don't remember the movie, but he was going to the Grand Canyon to let his father or one of his loved ones out to ashes. Mm-hmm. It was in a coffee can. He lets it out and the wind kicks back at him. It's all over his face. So yeah. So it is what it is. I have several. Like I said, I have several family members now in my basement who are in urns. And mostly because they didn't want to be buried. We're taking them back eventually to I don't know, wherever their destination is.
Yeah. Yeah.
To some special spots that we think they'd like, but yeah.
Yeah, and see, I'm stuck in the position of if my husband passes away first, we have all of our cats in urns upstairs on the shelf, and what do I do then?
You throw them in there with them.
Yeah, I'll just open each one. We got 3 right now, and I'll divide Paul up in there. There you go, dude. Stay with your cats.
With your cats. Your life, man.
Our cats, grown up as a kid, they're all buried in the backyard. So, and my grandma knew how deep to bury them, so nothing else would get them. So anyway,
and she'd look you right in the eye and tell you that every time. You know exactly how buried you just buried this cat. Yeah. Now you remember that. He just walks away.
And my grandma was expert at pilling a cat. She could pick them up by the scruff of the neck, flip them over, and get the pill down their throat before the cat even knew what the hell was going on. I'm like, what? I try to pill my cat. I need my husband's help, and we're covered in scratches, and not just scratches, like bleeding when we're done. It's horrific, and every time one of them gets sick and the vet's like, well, you need to give them this pill, and Paul and I will both go, oh, because we know it's gonna.
So give him a shot.
Yeah, there have
Give
been
him a shot.
Yeah, there were our cat that passed away, Cinder. She had allergies, and we could give her a pill every day, and I was like, what? No. But we knew she needed her allergy medicine. They're like, but we have another one. We can give her a shot once every 6 weeks, and you can bring her in and we'll give her a shot. I'm like, yeah, we're doing that one. We're doing that one because I'm not pilling her every day.
Yeah, just stick her with it. Stick him with the needle, man.
Yeah. So Willie's wife, Lottie, died January 18th, 1974, about 4.5 years before Willie. Shumway, in his usual flowery language, praised Willie in his book, saying Willie is one of the progressive farmers of the younger generation in Scottsbluff County, is a scion of red-blooded American stock that has been conspicuous in the pioneer annals of the nation. His paternal grandparents have been early settlers of Illinois and later in Iowa, and his father gained a due measure of pioneer distinction in Nebraska. That the subject of this sketch has lived up to the family traditions of loyalty and spirit needs no further voucher than the statement that he was one of the gallant young men who represented Nebraska on the European battlefields within the period of the late World War, a service that shall ever reflect honor upon his name. So again,
I have a feeling Shumway wanted to always be like the man of honor.
Yeah,
to give the speech.
I have a feeling Shumway would write this stuff, and then he'd be like, "Let me grab my thesaurus. What big word can I use?"
That's a big word.
You know?
I mean, was he paid to write out obituaries? Because he should have been. He really should have been paid out to write. He could have made a killer.
He could have.
Just going for local papers and writing people's obituaries. It's like, yeah, cool.
And that's essentially what a history of Western Nebraska and its peoples are. They're
obituaries and bullshit.
they're like 500 to 1,200 word obits, but the people were alive when he wrote them, so it was their life up until that point in time. And yeah, I mean, this to me says he liked Willie a lot because he uses all this hoity-toity, highfalutin language and almost puts Willie up on a pedestal, and it's like, dude, come on, man. He's Anyway, so
put no Willies up on no pedestals. You shouldn't be doing that.
Okay.
I'm getting back into this.
Yeah, stop being 12, Connor.
You're the one talking about Willies and pedestals.
From what we've read about Willie, he seemed to be a stand-up guy doing stand-up things for his family.
Why did you say that twice?
Willie helped to shape Western Nebraska, but he would likely tell you that he was just a farmer taking care of his family. And that's all I got, folks.
Hope so.
No, I'm not reading anymore. Oh my God.
That was the funniest thing. There should have been something in Austin Powers for that last bit.
Can you imagine if we had filmed us doing this today? You're like, no, I would have left.
That was terrible. Okay, guys, that's it for the day.
Yeah, that's all I got for this time. We'll have another episode next week, and hopefully you'll come back and Adult Us will be here.
I doubt it.
Yeah, unlikely. So for now, I'm Irene.
And I'm Connor.
And this is Storytelling on the Plains.